Welcome to the debate. Imagine an AI agent negotiating with global manufacturing vendors, right? Or analyzing competitor pricing in literal milliseconds.
And booking high-ticket clients while you're fast asleep? Yeah.
Exactly. But then on the flip side, imagine that same AI hallucinating of like a catastrophic pricing error, and it just emails it to your entire customer list.
Bankrupting your business before you even wake up. It's terrifying.
It is. And that's why today we are looking squarely at the razor's edge of modern business technology. We are asking a really critical question. Are AI solutions truly accessible and, cost-effective for independent business owners who are operating on a shoestring budget and maybe have limited marketing experience?
Right. I mean, it is the defining operational question of the decade, honestly. We are looking at real-world applications across the whole spectrum here. Everything from solo entrepreneurs using AI to scrape e-commerce data, all the way to heavy physical industries like land clearing attempting to automate their entire bidding process.
Yeah, massive range.
But the core tension remains exactly the same. When you have absolutely no established revenue, every single dollar, every hour spent trying to figure out this technology, it's a massive risk.
For sure. Well, I will be arguing that implementing complete automated AI infrastructures is the most cost-effective and, frankly, the strictly necessary path for early, massive scaling.
And I will be arguing that testing low-cost, highly targeted AI experiments is a far superior and, crucially, a much safer strategy for businesses without established revenue streams.
All right, so to understand why a complete system is necessary, we really have to stop looking at AI as just like a separate software tool. We have to start looking at it as an entire operating system.
Okay, an operating system. Go on.
Yeah. Think of a traditional small business as, well, a bucket, right? The water pouring in represents your leads, your potential revenue. But if you are an independent owner with limited marketing experience, your bucket is basically full of holes.
Right, you're leaking everywhere.
Exactly. You are leaking water through missed phone calls, really slow response times, forgotten follow-ups, clunky scheduling. Now, if you just buy one AI tool, say an AI copywriter for your emails, you've, plugged one hole.
But the bucket is still leaking.
Yeah, the bucket is still leaking everywhere else. You're still losing money. So a bundled multi-agent AI system creates a sealed container. It plugs all those holes simultaneously. And the incredible part is that the foundational software for this can cost as little as like a $20 to $40 monthly subscription. Implementing that complete infrastructure isn't just a luxury for a shoestring startup. I'd say it is a financial imperative.
Look, I approach this from the very real, very grounded perspective of a novice business owner. Building complex, multi-agent systems when you don't even have established revenue is inherently risky.
Inherently? I don't know about that.
Yes, inherently. It causes immense overwhelm and it frequently leads to catastrophic operational failures because, well, the foundation simply isn't there yet. I really advocate for a problem-first, tool-second mentality.
Okay.
Instead of attempting to rewire your entire business architecture on day one, you just look for one specific bottleneck. You automate just 20% of a manual workflow using a low-cost, strictly human-guided experiment.
But that's so slow.
It's safe. And that approach generates immediate return on investment. It puts actual cash in the bank, which you desperately need, and it builds the operational maturity required to handle future growth.
I hear that, but relying on isolated 20% experiments drastically limits your momentum. To get real traction today, you need high-growth systemic scaling. Consider the 5 AI employee architecture we are seeing deployed right now.
The 5 employee architecture?
Yeah. You aren't just getting one task done. You deploy an outreach specialist agent for database reactivation. You have a reputation manager strictly pulling in positive reviews, a website manager handling instant lead text.
On a shoestring budget, someone who, let's be honest, barely understands Facebook ads to deploy a 5-agent system on day one?
Just walk me through how they are supposed to manage that without imploding.
They manage it because they don't have to build the cognitive logic from scratch. They're essentially hiring a fully trained staff. Look, using just one AI tool is like hiring a brilliant executive chef, but then forcing that chef to answer the phones, seat the guests, take the orders and wash the dishes.
And the restaurant will fail. A multi-agent system is hiring the entire restaurant staff. They work in parallel, passing tasks seamlessly. Look at agentic platforms like Alibaba's Accio Work.
Okay, I've seen that mentioned.
It isn't just a basic chatbot that answers FAQs. It connects directly to commercial data, it compares pricing, it drafts emails, and it negotiates with global vendors autonomously.
How exactly is it negotiating autonomously? Because honestly, that just sounds like a buzzword for asking for a flat discount.
No, it is far more sophisticated than that. It pulls historical commercial data on shipping container costs, and it cross-references regional manufacturing averages in milliseconds. It literally knows the exact floor price of a commodity.
Interesting.
Then it constructs a counteroffer email that sounds so human that the vendor actually believes they are dealing with a seasoned procurement officer. In one instance from the material, this system negotiated a unit price down from 38 to 30 Chinese yuan.
Okay, that's a solid drop.
It saved 8 yuan per unit on 1,000 units, completely automatically. That is systemic scaling. The beginner doesn't need to know how to negotiate in Mandarin. They just need to deploy the agent.
The problem with your restaurant metaphor, though, is that it assumes the beginner knows how to manage a massive staff. What happens when the chef decides to set the kitchen on fire?
That's a bit dramatic.
It happens. Before a novice attempts to deploy a 5-agent infrastructure, they can use AI to safely validate a market and generate immediate ROI. Let's look at the immense value of low-tech, targeted experiments. Take the example of using AI to analyze competitors' negative product reviews.
You mean just summarizing Amazon reviews? Anyone can do that.
It's way deeper than a summary. It's instant market validation. An entrepreneur used a basic AI model to scrape thousands of negative reviews for a leading vacuum cleaner. The AI didn't just summarize, it categorized the sentiment and identified a recurring, highly specific anomaly.
Which was what?
Customers loved the suction, but they furiously complained that the electrical lead was a few feet too short. So the entrepreneur manufactured a competing vacuum with a longer lead and targeted their entire marketing campaign at that exact pain point. They solved a real market problem for pennies.
I mean, it's a clever trick, sure, but it's fundamentally low leverage.
I completely disagree. It's high leverage because it carries literally zero operational risk. Or look at the indie authors generating logic grid puzzle books like the Einstein riddles.
Oh, yeah, the puzzle books.
Creating an Einstein riddle manually takes hours of testing to ensure the clues don't contradict each other. A beginner can prompt an AI with specific grid parameters, have the AI stress test the logical paths backward, and output 20 flawless puzzles in 10 minutes.
And just throw them on Amazon?
Instantly format them for Kindle. Yes, one creator is passively selling 15 to 16 copies a day of just one puzzle book. These targeted hacks offer the safest, most profitable entry point. They don't require complex automated negotiations or risking thousands of dollars on a mismanaged supply chain order.
Look, I see the appeal of the puzzle books and the review scraping. It's neat, but it's really a matter of scale. Bailing water out of a sinking ship with a teacup is safe, sure, but the ship is still going down.
You're assuming the ship is sinking.
If you're a small business without automated lead capture, you are sinking. If a fully automated, high-powered water pump is available, isn't it financially irresponsible for a startup to waste time on manual, low-leverage hacks? For roughly $60 a month, a beginner can deploy a fully integrated stack combining MiniChat, Claude Pro, and Repurpose.
Okay, but you have to explain why that specific combination is actually accessible to someone without tech experience. You throw out those 3 names, but what do they actually do together?
Fair enough. Here's the exact mechanism. MiniChat sits on your social media. When someone comments on an Instagram post, MiniChat instantly catches that inbound lead. But instead of sending a dumb, robotic menu, it hands the conversation over to Claude Pro.
So Claude handles the chat.
Right. Claude Pro acts as the conversational engine, holding a nuanced human-like sales dialogue, answering specific questions about pricing or hours. Once the lead is qualified, Repurpose takes the data and distributes it wherever it needs to go, maybe adding it to a Google Sheet or an email sequence.
Okay.
It is an entire omni-channel marketing department for $60. Why write puzzle books for $20 a day when you could be capturing hundreds of qualified leads in a primary market while you sleep?
You mentioned catching hundreds of leads, but catching those leads doesn't matter if the AI hallucinates a promise to a customer that bankrupts the business.
It wouldn't bankrupt.
The real issue here isn't speed, it's control. Building those omni-channel systems assumes the beginner knows how to direct the pump. I simply do not accept that a beginner should hand over the keys to their business to autonomous agents. We see a massive operational threat right now termed AI joyriding.
Okay, define AI joyriding in this context.
It's what happens when an AI lacks proper human guardrails and decides to aggressively execute a misunderstood command. Let's say a beginner tells their AI agent to clean up the content calendar.
Sure.
The AI lacks human common sense. It doesn't know that cleanup means delete duplicates or format the text. It might decide that a truly clean calendar is an empty one, and it permanently deletes years of historical data and future scheduled campaigns.
That's a very specific edge case.
It hallucinates facts, it sends incorrect pricing emails to clients, and it causes chaos. And let's not ignore the security risks. One open source developer bluntly admitted that if you aren't comfortable with all of your proprietary files being exposed to the public internet, you should not use certain autonomous platforms.
I think you are radically miscalculating the actual risks here. You are fixated on the risk of an AI making a mistake, but you are completely ignoring the mathematically guaranteed risk of human error.
Human error doesn't usually result in your entire customer database being deleted in 3 seconds.
No, human error results in slow, silent death by 1,000 paper cuts. The data is staggering on this. The average small business misses 62 out of 100 inbound phone calls.
That is high. Yeah.
42 hours to respond to a web lead. By the time the human owner calls back, the prospect has already hired a competitor. Human error and human delay are luxuries a shoestring budget absolutely cannot afford. Let's look at ClearPath AI, which is a specialized agent built for the land clearing industry.
Wait, land clearing is incredibly dangerous and capital intensive. Why would they trust an AI with that?
Because the AI is safer than the human estimator. Land clearing involves massive heavy machinery, fluctuating diesel costs, and really complex per acre density variables. If a human operator is tired and forgets to factor in the transport cost of a forestry mulcher to a remote site, they underbid the job.
Right, and they lose money.
Exactly. That single human math error can induce bankruptcy on a tight margin project. ClearPath AI prevents this. It references deeply trained operational data. It mathematically enforces strict bid checklists and instantly calculates accurate crew day rates based on historical performance. The AI is actually saving the business from the human.
But ClearPath AI works precisely because it was built by industry veterans who spent years refining their operational data before ever feeding it to the AI.
True, but
A beginner doesn't have that refined operational data yet. If a novice feeds bad, unrefined data into an automated bidding engine, the AI will just execute terrible bids at the speed of light.
But beginners have access to structural guardrails that prevent that. You mentioned files being deleted or proprietary data being exposed. That is a really outdated view of how these agents operate. Modern AI systems utilize sandboxing.
Explain sandboxing for a non-developer.
It means the AI operates inside a restricted digital environment, literally a sandbox. It cannot physically reach outside of the folders you approve. Furthermore, there is bad command interception built into the architecture now.
Meaning what?
If the AI attempts to execute a destructive command, like deleting a database or offering a 90% discount, the system intercepts the command and flags it for human review. So, knowing these safety nets exist, I have to ask, is your approach of starting slow just a euphemism for being left behind?
It is absolutely not about being left behind. It's about progressive trust. You don't hand a teenager the keys to a Ferrari on their 16th birthday.
I mean, no.
You start by giving an AI read-only access to a specific workflow, like a Gmail inbox. You watch what it summarizes. You verify its logic. Only when it proves reliable for a month do you grant it read, write, edit permissions. You build the invisible bridges safely.
By the time your month of progressive trust is up, your competitors' autonomous agents have already taken your market share.
If you scale a broken process exponentially, you just fail exponentially faster. And this logically brings us to the actual strategy a beginner should use if they want to build a service business implementing these tools.
Let's hear it.
If an entrepreneur with limited marketing experience wants to survive, they should rely on niche specialization and franchise partnerships. It is the only safe growth path.
Why franchises, though? Why lock yourself into a corporate hierarchy when the technology allows you to serve literally anyone?
Because you need the referral loop. Let's look at a real-world case of a marketing agency that partnered with a gym franchise. The agency used AI to solve one specific problem, reactivating dead leads in the gym's database.
Just the one problem?
Yes, they deployed the AI for a single gym owner and generated a massive surge in trial memberships. Because this was a franchise, that gym owner immediately went into their internal corporate Facebook group and told all the other owners.
Ah, built-in audience.
Exactly. The agency acquired 200 new locations and scaled to $70,000 a month in recurring revenue without spending a single dime on advertising.
That's impressive. But you can achieve those numbers independently.
Not with zero ad spend. Independent businesses have an inherent conflict of interest. A local independent plumber who gets great results from your AI system is never going to refer you to the competing plumber across town.
Well, sure.
They want to keep the advantage. Franchise networks have built-in communication channels and zero local competition among their owners. It is a highly constrained, highly tested 20% augmentation deployed across hundreds of identical businesses.
Okay, I understand the safety of the franchise model, but it artificially limits the entrepreneur's financial potential. You are trading exponential growth for a false sense of security. My recommendation is to sell and implement those bundled AI systems, the full 5-agent architectures, directly to independent B2B markets.
But selling a bundled system to an independent business requires what we call cloud-to-dirt knowledge.
Let's define that for the audience.
Cloud-to-dirt means you need to understand the high-level macro business strategy of the cloud, all the way down to the granular API integrations connecting the different software platforms, the dirt.
Right.
When we say API, we are talking about the invisible digital bridges that let Meta talk to Claude and Claude talk to Google Sheets. Beginners simply do not possess cloud-to-dirt knowledge. What happens when Meta updates their webhook policy? The bridge collapses.
That happens.
The AI stops catching leads. The beginner has no idea what a webhook even is. The client loses money, and you churn the account instantly. Integrating into a franchise's proven model is the only way to survive while you slowly acquire that cloud-to-dirt expertise.
See, that used to be true, but the tools themselves are now bridging that cloud-to-dirt gap. You no longer need to be a Python engineer to fix an API bridge.
You still need to understand it.
Not in the same way. Visual automation interfaces like Zapier or Make have abstracted the dirt. You literally drag and drop modules on a screen to connect the software. By aiming to build a comprehensive system, you force yourself to learn the macro mechanics of the business.
But is it worth the risk?
Absolutely. When you offer a complete system, you can charge a $5,000 monthly retainer rather than a $500 fee for running simple ads. You aren't just a contractor anymore. You become an indispensable operational partner to that independent business. A 10-person operation can now go after niche B2B markets and achieve venture-scale returns.
You become indispensable right up until the moment your unmonitored system hallucinates an offer that costs the business their quarterly profit. Being an operational partner means you absorb the operational liability.
And it's a liability mitigated by the sandboxing and bad command interception we discussed earlier. The technology has matured beyond the Wild West phase of agents going rogue.
Technology fails, always. To assume these agents won't find a new way to break a workflow is incredibly naive.
Well, let's pull our perspectives together here because while we obviously disagree on the methodology, the stakes are undeniably clear. Throughout our discussion, my position has remained that comprehensive, bundled AI infrastructures provide the outsized returns and operational efficiency required to scale a business on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
Whether it's deploying a 5-agent team to capture every mislead, or using a platform like Accio Work to scan global shipping data and negotiate vendor pricing autonomously, the technology exists to plug every single hole in the business bucket simultaneously. For early, massive scaling, embracing the complete systemic architecture isn't just an option. I believe it's an operational imperative.
And my position remains that a cautious, problem-first approach is the only way to mitigate the existential risks of early automation. By utilizing incremental 20% augmentations like analyzing competitor reviews to manufacture a better product, practicing progressive trust from read-only to read-write access, and leveraging the referral loops inherent in franchise networks, a beginner can safely build a highly profitable business.
A safe business, yeah.
You must solve one bottleneck, prove the return on investment, and rely on human-guided experiments before handing over the keys to autonomous agents.
Despite our clash over the sequence of deployment, we clearly share a foundational agreement regarding the macroeconomic reality. We are facing a severe K-shaped economic divide.
Oh, absolutely.
If small and medium-sized independent businesses do not adopt this technology, they are going to be pushed downward, swallowed up by global behemoths who are already deploying these efficiencies at scale.
Yes, on that point, there is no debate. The risk of entirely ignoring AI is far greater than the risk of using it poorly. But I maintain that diving headfirst into complex infrastructure without operational maturity is exactly how a beginner ends up on the downward stroke of that K-shaped divide. You build the pump before you know how to plumb the house, and you end up flooding the foundation.
And I maintain that if you spend your time bailing water with a teacup while your competitors are installing industrial pumps, the market will drown you regardless of how carefully you built your foundation.
I guess we'll see.
It highlights the intricate, deeply challenging balance between speed and safety when leveraging technology on a tight budget. The tools to build a massive operational footprint from a single laptop are sitting right in front of us, waiting to be utilized.
But just because the technological equation has fundamentally changed doesn't mean the foundational laws of business have been suspended. You still need to solve real human problems reliably and consistently.
World friction they eliminate. The source material contains a wealth of nuanced case studies, from custom internal databases to incredibly complex B2B workflow automations. We strongly encourage you to explore those resources, analyze the mechanisms for yourself, and form your own strategic thesis. So, as you look at your own business bucket and the capital you have to work with, you have to ask yourself the hard question. Are you going to carefully plug one hole today, or are you ready to completely seal the container?